The question I have on Decky is, I'll start off with you, Lee. Do you feel like he is the form midfielder in the Premier League right now?
Yeah, 100%, Ben, 100%. And actually, some of them stats bear that out as well. It's not. I mean, you're looking at. I think Cole Palmer is actually classed as a midfielder. I think, is he? I don't know. You FPL fans will have to tell me that. I don't know. I don't do it. But
he is on FPL, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. But look, from a positional perspective, where he plays, he's kind of a forward 8 or a deep line 10. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. Actually, all season. I think I said on last one on Spurs this week as well on the show that we did that even in the international break, I think by all accounts he ran the Swedish game that he played in. So I think he's been absolutely brilliant. I think it's Rick used the words, stumbled across a midfield. Again, sorry to disagree with you again, boss, but I don't think we have stumbled across a midfield. I think that, Decky's been quite clear, even when he came to the football club, that his best position is in the middle. And I think that Ange had been using him. He changed it up, didn't he? As you said earlier, with against City, and due to injuries, he started playing Decky through the middle a little bit towards the end of last season. Through the whole of pre-season, I know you boys were on a tour. You played him as a false 9 and played him through the middle. And now he's been doing him playing through the middle again, and I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. I think I saw a statistic the other day after the game that I think he's got more big chance creations than any other player in the league in them positions, like over Kevin De Bruyne, over Foden, over Saka. And I think you boys said it yourself. I think he created 3 big chances in himself just in the Man United game. Mm-hmm. So it's insane. I mean, he's just brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. He loves the club. And the thing is, we said this on the show, didn't we, Rick? Last one on Spurs the other day. He's only 23. Like, the bloke's the same age as Brennan Johnson. It looks like he could be his dad.
He's been around for a long time, hasn't he? He's been around for a long time. Yeah.
The bloke is an ox. He's strong. Yeah. He's technically gifted. I remember when Pep, I think we went up to the Etihad. It might have been the 3-3. It might have been the Harry Kane masterclass game. I can't remember. But I think Pep come out and said, "Wow, Kulusevski, who's that guy?" Type is it as if to say, like, I want him. And that's a huge compliment. So I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And long way it continue. I think he did a post-match interview. It might have been a pre-matcher where he said, "I've learned how to defend now," which I thought was very interesting because he was obviously being told or being coached behind the scenes as, look, you've got to get better defensively to play in that middle. Out wide, it's okay. You can leave people to a certain degree. You can track back. But actually in the middle, you've got to be able to use that strength and get in. And I thought he took his goal brilliantly. If Timo Werner could finish, he'd have a couple of other assists to his name as well in that game. And I think his all-round game has been absolutely superb.
What I agree about was on Kudo, if you saw it, I think he's created more XG at United this season than their actual team has.
Yeah, I know. It's mad.
Really. How does one player create more than the bloody squad?
He created 9 chances himself, didn't he?
Yeah, 9 key passes, 3 big chances created. I think someone in the comments says that Cole Palmer and Kulusevski have both created 15 big chances so far this season, so they're on equal footing. I think the difference is there. Kulusevski has got 2 goal contributions. Cole Palmer's already got 10 goal contributions this season. Yeah. So
and Palmer's played every minute. Decky wasn't in the team against Leicester. He was
first game
against Newcastle, wasn't in his position.
Yeah. So I think when you're talking about 4 midfielder in the Premier League, I think there are 3 front runners here. It's Kulusevski, it's Cole Palmer, and I'd even put in Liverpool's Ryan Gravenberch in there. I think he's been very impressive, albeit a very different position to what Kulusevski and Cole Palmer are saying. And look, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love what Kulusevski's been doing this season. The whole of last season, I was calling for him to move into the more central areas, and I think he's reaped the benefits of it. I just think that probably, if I'm going to be completely honest, Cole Palmer probably takes the cake on form midfielder of the season. But look, it doesn't take away from the fact that Kulusevski's been absolutely brilliant.
Decky's key will be, can he now consistently deliver? And many will say, well, he has been consistently delivering, but what we mean by that is Decky to take these big games by the scruff of the neck. And to be fair, he's got a cut times against City as well. He's a big game player. He really, really is. And I think the thing with Decky is that we've always known there's an unbelievable technical ability about him. The thing is, where is it best to get the most out of him? And I think we're now seeing that centrally. And to be fair, whoever it is that's listened to him in the summer, if it's Andrew, it's the coaching staff, absolute credit to them, because to be fair, there were times last season where I'm sure Mackie will agree at the stadium, it was driving us berserk with Kulu, out on the wing, wasn't really getting involved in the game. And look what it just means, just to move him centrally, you're just seeing so much more, because he's got a real footballing brain. Don't underestimate his brain as a footballer. He sees things quicker than other players. You know, that finish, a goal against Man United, that is
Brilliant.
an unbelievable finish. Not many players could finish like that. It was a remarkable finish. And you know what?
Zlatan-esque.
It was. You know what, Ben? You're seeing his confidence grow. You're seeing the team's confidence grow. I've got to just say a quick shout out to Brennan Johnson, because, look, I'll be honest with you with Brennan, whilst I haven't been getting absolutely carried away with him, the key thing for me is how a player reacts to criticism and adversity. Brendan has come back with 4 goals in 4 games and an assist. And look, I know many are going to hold Brendan to that account of, but he needs to do it more against the big clubs. I agree. That's what takes you from being a very, very good player to a world-class player. Can you do it week in, week out? Can you go away from home against the big 6, the big 4 clubs and put in results like that consecutively and dominantly? I think Brendan over time can be that player. I think last season he was very underestimated by what he produced. I think it was 15 GAs for a first season where didn't get a pre-season with Ange Postecoglou, came in the last day of the summer transfer window. I just think someone like that needs confidence and needs the fans to be behind him. And I absolutely loved the away fans singing his name. That was so lovely. And I think for those that picked up what he said on the Spurs official interview after the game, which we put out on our X, is that he says it. He loves playing for the fans, being there for the fans. And I think, you know what, sometimes you need to recognise a player takes time to come through. It didn't happen, Gareth Bale initially. It takes time for a player. He's a young player, as Macca said, 23 years old. Please, let's get behind him, because you can see that guy, he's a confidence player. He feeds off confidence, hence the 4 in 4 and an assist. So just want to say that on Brennan Johnson.
And on Brennan Johnson, one of my questions was, do the fans owe Brennan Johnson an apology? And I think that my answer to that is that I would say sections of the fan base, whoever gets in his DMs and starts abusing him, that's never on. And his own. No, I agree with that. But they massively owe him an apology. But I would say criticism on his performance should be part and parcel of it. And I think like the first 3 or 4 games of the season, he wasn't playing that well. And ever since the Coventry game and the fans singing for him that night, and also at home against Brentford, something's clicked in him and he's completely changed. You're seeing the confidence reap through him. He's taking on his man. He's putting the ball away confidently. He's taking shots off confidently. So I was one that was criticising his performance at the beginning of this season and last season, because I don't think he was impacting games enough. But ever since that moment, it seems like something has flicked in him, and he is showing that confidence now. And I can't be happier, because when us as fans, particularly me, I can only speak for myself, when criticise a player, this is how we want them to respond. We want them to show that uptick in form, show that confidence, show that quality about him. And that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and he just seems to be thinking less about situations as well. I think maybe, especially with that Arsenal game, I felt like he was getting a lot of the ball. He was receiving it in a lot of space where he had a lot of time to think about what he was going to do. And I feel like in the Brentford game and the United game, he's just getting the ball and he's playing on instinct. He's not thinking too much about what he's doing with the ball. He's getting out of his feet and he's shooting. He's just running beyond the defender and getting it across the box. He's over when he was overthinking it. I think that's maybe where there could be trouble. And I remember even good players can suffer from that. I remember Harry Kane's first season, he scored like a bucket load of goals. And the second season, I remember the first 10 games of the season, he was suffering from, he went on a drought, didn't he? He couldn't hit a barn door those first 10 games. It was because he was overthinking his every touch. He was overthinking everything. And then I remember just what he scored at his first goal of the season, like it was like November or something. And then all of a sudden, like you just saw that confidence start to flood back into him. He just wasn't thinking about things. He was taking snapshots. He was just taking things first time. And I'm seeing Brendan at the moment. He's not overthinking what he's doing at the moment. He's just getting on the ball. He's getting out of his feet first time. He's and that's a big difference I'm seeing in Brendan Johnson. That comes with confidence. That comes in belief in yourself. When you're not second guessing yourself, you're just going on what the manager needs you to do. Because you do it so much in training, it should be second nature at that point. And that's what I'm seeing him. On the point about Decky, what I love about Decky at the moment, about him playing in central midfield, is first of all, he clearly looks more comfortable, but I feel like when he was playing out wide last season, how Tottenham play their wingers is we like to manipulate the ball. We like to manipulate the pitch in terms of we get the fullbacks inverted, we get the central midfield all together so that the central midfield becomes congested, so that the wingers become isolated out wide and get them into one-on-one situations with their fullbacks. And I feel like Decky's a player who needs players around him. He loves little 1-2s. He loves to connect with players. And getting him isolated on the right wing isn't going to be the best use of him because he likes to come in field. He likes to do little passing networks with players around him. And I feel like when now he likes being in the tight spaces. Actually, I feel like he lives for those tight spaces because he's so strong. He can hold off players. If players get too near him, he's got the strength just to shield the ball and hold them off. And you saw like players like Ugarte and Mainu and Mount were just bouncing off him on Sunday because they were getting too close to him. And he's so strong. Like Lee was saying, like an ox. He's got unbelievable body strength for a player in his position. I feel like last season he wasn't. He doesn't. And in fact, he was probably playing in more space last season because of the way we play. We're getting the ball out wide to him, and he was isolated to the fullback. But he doesn't like it when he's got space to burn in and run into. Unlike Brendan Johnson, he doesn't like all that space. He actually likes people close to him so he can create the space for himself. And that's absolutely perfect for him in that central midfield that we're seeing at the moment. And I think adding him next to Maddison has really added a new dimension to our attack. It makes us so much more unpredictable. I felt like last season when we had Sarr and Maddison there together, I felt like teams could just double up on Maddison, and that was like our creativity gone, and all of a sudden we were completely neutered. I feel like this season now we've got Maddison and Decky together. It feels like they don't know which one they can double up on. They can't add extra focus on any of them because if they put extra focus on Maddison or Decky, it leaves space for the other one, and they can be just as creative as the other. And I feel like this is exactly what Ange, in his perfect kind of system, would have wanted. He would have wanted someone who could be just as good on the ball as Maddison next to him. So it makes us more unpredictable. And I feel like last season, as much as I love Sarr, he's just not as good in the final third as you know, people like Decky and Maddison. And it does remind me a bit of, you know, in my favourite team, my favourite City team was the one when they had like David Silva and De Bruyne together in that Centurions team. I thought that was probably the best version of City in my opinion. And when I look at Maddison together, Maddison and Decky together, it does give me those similar vibes.
100 points on people, come on!
I'm saying De Bruyne is like very physical, but like in a similar way to Decky is, and I feel like Maddison is very good in those small spaces, very similar to David Silva, and it gives me very similar vibes to that. And I think they really complement each other. Exactly what I'm just saying. I feel like Maddison on the ball is amazing, and he can like dribble past people, and he can be unbelievable with his passing ability, view him space. And then Decky is such a strong runner; he can just out muscle you and burst past you. But what I loved about Decky on Sunday is like, when he was, I feel like sometimes maybe this season, his final execution of the pass hasn't quite been there, and maybe he's made some wrong decisions. But I feel like on Sunday, when he was getting those positions, his final pass was brilliant. Those chances he created for Werner through 1-on-1, brilliant passes right in behind, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm loving him at the moment. He's brilliant.
I quite like to do that in match. You know what I mean? Like I quite like, you know, obviously Decky's left-footed and Maddison's right-footed traditionally. You know, when Maddison goes through the other day and scores that chip, he does it with his left foot. He goes through against Brentford. When he goes through and Onana saves, it was a good save by the way. I don't think he gets enough credit. It's a good goalkeeper, that bloke. Onana saves for Maddison again. He's on the left foot because he's running from in that left side, and actually the natural position for left and right would be for them to swap. I'm not saying swap the whole time, but actually just in game, like just cross over, go somewhere else, like have that. You know, Decky's got to go with his left foot, cutting in from the right. Maddison's got to go with his right foot, cutting in from the left. It'd be, you know, narrow because they're in midfield, but actually for them to switch around, because that gives the defences another problem. Like exactly what you're just saying, Simba. Another problem is like, hang on, how am I going to stop him from coming inside or going on the outside if they've switched over? Maddison can go. Maddison can do what he did against Luton last season when Mickey van der Ven scored. Do you remember? And it was right, and he was right down on the top. Away fans, wasn't he? And he did that like little jink and
same with the Emirates. Same with the Emirates against Saka.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And exactly with the Saka situation. So I'm just looking at that and thinking, And that will be up to them to figure that out between them, like in game, to do something different. Because I just think if you can get Maddison in a position, and I said this quite a lot at the back end of last season and beginning of this season as well, if you can get Maddison in a position or Son in a position in and around that box where they can let fly, same as Decky. Think of Decky against Norwich all them years ago under Conte. Do you remember that? Think of that. Imagine that now. Getting them Decky, Son, Maddison in and around that, doing top bins in that position. Our team need to be pushing the opposition away so that we can get in them positions for him to get his shot away. And I just think Maddison hasn't scored enough goals like that, top bins or free kick type.
Agreed.
I mean, I think that's going to come, but I think it comes from their understanding of playing together like this, but then they switch over and just be a nightmare for defenders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like as soon as Maddison starts hitting it top bins, the teams are going to have to come out to him. They can't leave him in that space. That's going to leave more space for the likes of Solanke and other players to get in those positions. I feel like as well, when Maddison and Decky are in there, what I've seen the last two games, I feel like last season a big criticism was that we're so stringent to this way of Ange playing in terms of getting out wide, getting those cutbacks, and that was the only way of attack. But I feel like now we've got Decky and Maddison there, he's kind of giving them that freedom in the central area to kind of play with each other and work together. And that's just and that married with a bit more structure when we do get out wide, we know what we're doing with those cutbacks, then add that unpredictability when we do go through the centre, having Decky Maddison there, it's going to be very, very hard for opposition teams to stop. And also Decky's pressing as well is phenomenal because he's so strong. As soon as he gets near you, he's winning the ball off you because of his strength.
And Maddison's pressing is back to how it was at the beginning of last season pre-injury, hence my comment about injury earlier. It's weird actually, Sim. It's almost like the coaches and the team and Ange are building the foundations to be able to layer on more and more so we get better and better. Weird, that, isn't it? It's weird. That's actually
it's like a project. It's like a rebuild. Strange, isn't it?
Crazy.